Action.
I have close to zero experience in acting. It was just trying to put my mind in that space, trying to imagine the mental state of the character and putting myself in those shoes.
I was working as everything. Director, cinematographer, and editor, and writer. So my experience so far in film has been a kind of peke yangu production kind of experience.
It was also decided at some point that we were going to experiment by using a phone in doing the entire film. For me, it was actually my first time doing an entire film by the use of a phone. So at first when we were beginning, it was a bit skeptical to me.
So the preparations I made are most of them began during the writing process. I wanted to make sure we were writing something we can achieve, and also the intellectual kind of preparation, because there's the work for the directing.
For me, it just came down to the emotion. Number one, the film is not exactly a happy film, so I knew for a fact that I was not going to play a happy thing or something that will make someone laugh, jump. So it's a sadness that comes out of confusion and not knowing what to do. And I mean, minor keys capture that very well. When you play a minor chord, and so you just play around with notes around the minor chord, sustained, and minor notes. Notes in the minor scale to capture the emotion.
It's a character who is experiencing internal conflicts, not external conflicts. So how do you bring that out, show the audience? I think that was where I'd say I set up the challenge.
It's something that I think I've experienced. The relationship part especially. So, so it's like this is not so far from something relatable. Like it's very relatable.
As a writer, I was looking for a location which fits the subject matter, because you want it's a visual. When you're writing a film, so you want everything to work towards your story. So I wanted to place the character in a position which reflects their state of mind, in a literal sense. Because again, you're trying to show what is inside, you're trying to bring it out. So I tried to put him at a kind of crossroads.
When the story is something relatable, it sort of becomes easier for an actor to sort of like go into that personality, because it's something to go into that space, because it's something you've experienced before. So it's like you're borrowing from, your past experience.
This is an almost zero budget kind of film. That was another challenge, to use what we have. So we can't pay for locations for such a film. It's an independent film. So I had to choose a place where we can shoot freely without any kind of restrictions or any kind of crowd control.
Well, creativity in photography comes in three major aspects. Whatever shot you're taking has to tell a story. It also either has to be creating a mood, and also you are either getting into the psychology of your character so that the viewer can relate with your character. So after watching the first draft that our producer went through, I felt that we achieved most of these shots. We managed to evoke some emotions here and there as we had planned.
From my part as a sound designer, conversation, when you're designing sound, conversation is always above everything. Apart from when, specifically you want some actions really emphasized. So past that, the mood is, we're back to, it's this confusing mood. And so the music goes there, the sound goes there. And it sort of flows like that, and some bit of tension, because now the character is about to be punched in the face. So there's a bit of tension, confusion, and that tension and confusion, it sort of goes on like that until after the punch. But now it's like a melancholic feeling, a melancholic sound from the guitar, the score now, the music.
It's a film about something that everyone goes through at any point, especially adults. If I had to choose, I'd say from 16 going up. Because it's a film that the subject matter is something that everyone goes through. For the exterior scenes, we used natural light because I wanted that sun, that midday sun harshness on the character. I wanted the shadows beneath the eyes. That was a part of the character's space of mind. For the light, we only used the light in the interior scenes because it was a night scene. And I wanted it to appear as a kind of spotlight, a one-directional light coming from above. Because these scenes are meant to appear in a kind of surreal and realistic way. The question wasn't about quality. It was about what the phone captures that a camera cannot. And to me, a phone has it's difficult to control a phone's scope. I've always felt that about how a phone records. And I wanted to, there's an unusualness to it. It's too wide and there's a distortion to it that I felt fits this film.
One of my dreams is to be an actor. I watched a previous clip of mine that a speech trainer recorded of me. I think it's now 4 years back. 2019, it's 5 years back. Yeah, and so I said in that clip that one of my dreams is to be an actor.
The main challenge for me was mental preparedness. The moment our producer told me you're going to use a phone, because I had not done that before. So that with time, after we were actually done with our first scene, everything else actually just fell in place.
Since we don't have a costume designer, we had to use costumes that our actors have. Yeah, so it was about selecting from what we have. We couldn't design from zero.
The chord I've used there is A minor in the score, and so I've just played around with A minor because I've sustained a pad on A minor, and then so I have these two parallel sounds. Is that a third part or a fourth part? If you understand, you understand. And then playing around with these notes. On A minor scale. That is, I don't think there's any other composition in the score. So playing up and down the scale of A minor, this is what it sounded like.
I understand directors who are very strict to their vision, and in a lot of ways I am too. And I also understand directors who are very loose with it. I think the advantage to being strict with the vision is that, and I think it differs from project to project. Some films depending on their subject matter would allow some kind of documentary approach where you're letting the nature influence how the film comes out because of what you're covering. And I think in such kind of subject matter, a loose approach works because you're capturing something beyond what you imagined.
There were scenes where we needed to really get creative by improvising, including makeup, which I found it again was a creative way of doing things, and also the team itself, we were flexible enough to double up into other roles because our producer was actually also a makeup artist at some point. So I believe us achieving this film was actually a total work of creativity and innovation.
It's like you get to experience a version of yourself that you probably wouldn't put out in your real life. And the thought of that is really exciting to me. You know, the way in your thoughts you can think that I'm a really funny person, and maybe most of your friends don't really think you're funny, but you're given a script and you assume this personality and it works.
There's this fear, especially when you're shooting without a huge budget or without any budget, when you're shooting with what you have. There's this fear that when you start compromising, the vision starts breaking down. So I've always had a huge fear because it's something I've done before. Where you wanted this but you couldn't get it, so you settled for something less. And that's where things start falling apart. And what you had in mind, there is no way to even get close. It's difficult to. People always say that no single director has ever really captured their vision. They only try to get as close as they can to it. So that was me doing that.
We had challenges with the venue. At some point, we went to the venue and there were guys who were using the place. And also the weather was not all that hospitable for us. It was really hot.
Those are moments where questions start going through your mind. What do I do? You have to think fast. And I had to be stubborn, even though I didn't know what I'd do. I had to wait it out and see what would happen. And at such moments, as a director, you start feeling the pressures of the crew in terms of the morale. You don't want the morale to go down.
There are things we had to improvise here and there. I remember for one of our producers, he needed to use his phone to get a certain shot, and we almost messed up his phone. We had a leakage and the phone almost got messed up. But the entire experience has taught me a lot, in the sense that you can actually use the minimum resource that you have to achieve a great production.
Well, it was, like I said, a new experience. So that aspect of being a new experience, a new experience is sort of a learning experience because it's something new. You're learning it. You've not experienced it before. So that aspect of being a new experience, I was learning how to listen to a director in a film, how to live up to a script.
When you're working alone, you're everything. You decide everything in that moment because you're the one who's going to edit. You're the one who's going to face the consequences. So the stakes are very low. So I was afraid of working with a team and letting them down because in this case, I'm the producer, writer and director. So a lot of it came from me. And if something went wrong, if something goes wrong, it's on me. So I was afraid of that. That's something I had never felt before because most times I've worked either as a writer only, I haven't been involved with the shooting, or as a solo filmmaker.
I didn't meet my co-star, we've never met. It was the first time even talking to her, actually. But I think that is what is interesting about it. Or rather, that is what made me excited about it. And sort of, it didn't make me even feel weird because it's like, no stakes, I don't know you, you don't know me. We're doing this thing and whatever becomes of it.
Learning from the production of this short film has taught me one, as long as you know what you're using, the sky is the limit. Use the phone. I think I achieved more than I could have achieved with the standard camera, which we have, right? But we opted for the phone. And actually, it was more flexible working with the phone because we could achieve better angles that were expected from the script that we had received from our script writer. It is not more of the resources that you have, but how you utilize them. So I think the next films that we are going to use actually, despite what the producer says about having better cameras, and so I'll go with the phone again and again and again.
We don't come up with ideas. Nobody knows where ideas come from. You can't truly chase an idea to its very genesis. You can try to connect it to something. Maybe you saw this and that, but ideas come from this space that we can't really go back to. And I think the same should happen with films. When you're filming, I think we should allow that kind of otherworldly influence in the filmmaking. I think a budget wouldn't be good for this film. It would have lost something. And I like that this film kind of works for the position that we are. It works best as our first film. And I've learned that there is always something you can do with what you have. And it might be something that you wouldn't do if you had more. For the people that it will reach, I hope that it reaches deep into their conscious or emotions. On some level, I feel that I've achieved better than what I imagined. On some level, I feel that I've made something different from what I imagined. So I don't know how to answer that, but what I can say is that I'm proud.